Welcome to Betting Weekly Premier League show. You're with Dan Roebuck alongside me, Nigel Seeley and Jack Wright. Now 12 weeks into the EPL season. Plenty of tweaks of tactics from managers and teams so far. And we've decided to alter the way that we approach the weekly English top flight card as well. We have this season, as I'm sure everyone is aware, stuck with a 2U, 1U and hot dog approach. 8 units staked each week from Jack and Nigel combined, but a little flexibility is going to be introduced from here on in. Less restriction, and Nigel, I guess more like we bet ourselves.
Yeah, I've had the vote of confidence from the senior executives at Bet Rivers to stay on for another week, so we'll see if we can change around. Obviously, we're not doing very well on these 3 suggested bets, so the hot dog, the 2U and the 1U. And what we've done is, if you look at the leans, Jack went through the leans have been cashing and we've been doing very well on the leans. So it just seems a little bit, the staking plan seems to be a little bit wrong that we're betting, 2U and then a hot dog more, half the size of that. And it's been a bit frustrating, obviously, with the official players getting beat. So we decided that we're not going to keep our record as it is. We're going to keep going for the season. But instead of having that strategic 2, 1 and a hot dog, we got a random pick, a staking plan on any match we like. Some weeks we might not have a bet, some weeks we might have 5 bets, some weeks we might have 2 bets, and we can officially say how much of a unit we'll be having that bet. So that just brings in the ones that we say on this show. This nearly made an official bet. This was very close to being a 1U bet. This was close to being a 2U bet. So we're keeping up to 100% transparency. We're just playing it around. And obviously, if it doesn't go to plan, myself and Jack will be replaced in the next couple of weeks, and the management will get rid of the team. But that's what we've got to do. What have we got to do? We got to like you would do if you were betting normally. You change your tactics, you change your strategy, and you try to repair your bankroll. And that's exactly what we're doing at the moment. It's a little bit of a tinker, but all the matches will be covered, and we'll give you a more in-depth breakdown and an official size of bet we will have on our bets.
Yeah, I mean, this is the crucial thing. All of the games of the Premier League weekend we will discuss. There just might not be official plays on as many. There might be more. And Jack, I know that you've been looking at your leans throughout the season. You've kept a record, and if you bet all your leans, you're up. I mean, there's so many times that you might force a 2U when you don't want to, and you've got sometimes more bets that you have to drop off the official plays. It's been frustrating for yourself in particular.
Yeah, I think I've said it a few times, I think, on the show, trying to identify what you'd classify as your best bet, your 2-unit play, has been tough. There's been weeks where there's been 4 or 5 very strong plays, and unfortunately, I've seemingly landed on the wrong one, and Nigel's done the same thing, where we've got to put the 2-unit play forward, and that's the one that loses and the others win. So, yeah, as I said, we've kept the complete transparency. We're still going to be doing the same kind of things that we're doing, just a little more flexibility how we allocate those stakes. So, as you said, it's more how we would normally be betting rather than being kept to that rigid framework, which, yeah, felt a little bit off, didn't it?
Profit and loss on the screen from the boys. Take note of the figure. And while nothing can be guaranteed, I would bet some hard currency that Nigel and Jack will improve their numbers come May next year. And match week 38. Do not let me down, boys.
It can't go on like this.
It can. Thanks, Mick. Okay, big game of the weekend. Chelsea against Arsenal. Sunday, 11:30 Eastern. Huge every single season. But given what happened to these two teams, Nigel, in midweek, I mean, this is even bigger. The fact that they're first and second in the Premier League as well adds to it. Arsenal, after their demolition of Bayern last night, have just been nibbled at. They're now plus 114 as we speak. They were plus 125. Chelsea are plus 240. Draw plus 245. I mean, it's a huge game. I mean, I don't know which was better. Arsenal's win over Bayern or Chelsea's success over Barcelona. I know Barcelona had a player sent off, but even so, 2 very impressive performances from Chelsea and Arsenal in midweek.
Yeah, and I was very lucky to be at the Emirates last night, and they were absolutely brilliant at second half. Arsenal, absolutely sensational performance from them. Chelsea was equally as good, and I've been very, very impressed in the last few weeks with Chelsea. I mean, we've said they've had the potential, and people have written them off in the title race. I think they're a proper side, and I think they can go deep in the Champions League. It wouldn't surprise me to see this be the Champions League final. That's the way the Premier League teams are so strong. But, the plaudits are going out to Arsenal, which rightly so. They're a fantastic team. They've got the strength in depth. They've got players coming back now. Madueke come back. Havertz is not far from being back. Odegaard is not far from being back. But Chelsea, on the other hand, they're just going under the radar a little bit in what they're doing, and I think they've been exceptional. They're scoring goals as well, which is the most incredible thing. I mean, they've won 5 of their last 6 matches. The draw was in Karabag in the Champions League, but they scored 15 goals in those matches as well. They'll fancy this Chelsea, and at home. They were awful against Sunderland, wasn't they? That match against Sunderland, they got beaten that, and ever since then they've just been very, very different. And they're doing all this without Cole Palmer, which is even staggering. Would I bet them at plus 240? No, I wouldn't. But saying that, I probably wouldn't bet Arsenal at plus 114. I think the best bet here, I think there's goals in this match. The last 3 matches for Arsenal, both teams have scored has been a yes. We at the early part of the season throughout, until that Sunderland match when they drew 2-2. The win to 0 to Arsenal was always the way to go. I got a feeling there's goals in this match because Chelsea have to get something from it. Arsenal don't necessarily have to get something, but they will be pumped up and they will be out to win this match, and they are the rightly favourites. They're the best team in world football at this moment in time. Chelsea, the biggest movers on our ratings. If you look at the Betting Week Insider, biggest move on ratings, and currently they're rated the 3rd best team in England ahead of Liverpool. So, this is second v first in the table, but 3rd against 1st in terms of ratings. So it's a huge, huge match. But I'm not going to bet on the money line. I'll be looking at goals. Both teams to score yes is minus 137. I wouldn't be surprised to see it being a high-scoring draw. That's the kind of way I'll go. But I do think goals in this one. The goals are high, but I think rightly so.
Jack, your thoughts on this one? Nigel referenced that Sunderland game. Chelsea were also beaten at home by Brighton, 2 teams that let Chelsea have the ball. Chelsea are a possession-based side. I thought Arsenal sort of stood off Bayern for the first 20 minutes, almost like they were thinking about the Chelsea game before really taking it to Bayern. I mean, your thoughts on those midweek games and any sort of angles in from a betting point of view for this fixture at Stamford Bridge?
Yeah, well, first of all, I think 2 sensational results for both sides there. Mouth-watering clashes. Who was going to come out on top? And the English Premier League sides, albeit with home advantage, come out comfortably and handsomely in both counts. And you've got to look at a couple of the defensive processes in those 2 games just to show how impressive they have been defensively. You've got Lamine Yamal up against Cucurella, and Cucurella done a superb job on him. So the him versus Saka is going to be very interesting at the weekend. That's the first blank for Barcelona in 53 games. So that just shows you what performance Chelsea's put in there. Yes, 10 men for the second half, but even prior to that, I thought Chelsea were excellent against them. And then you look at Arsenal, what they did against Bayern Munich. Yeah, Bayern Munich did get that goal, but they stopped Harry Kane from even having a shot, which that in itself, again, is phenomenal. And without Gabriel, which shows you their strength and depth defensively as well. So I think this is a really tough one to call. I think Arteta would probably sign for a tie now. I think sometimes he does go into these bigger games on the basis of, especially away from home, that we'll kind of take what we got. We'll get the tie, especially with how the league is set up at the moment. They've got that buffer, they've got that cushion. Let's keep them at arm's length. So I wouldn't be surprised to see this one end all square for me. And I might well disagree with Nigel on this one. And if pushed on as far as goals, I'd probably lean on the fact that it'd be an unders game. But no strong opinion, no official bet from me in this one either.
Very quickly, would you rather bet Arsenal at minus 230 to win the title or Chelsea at plus 1400? Nigel?
Arsenal.
Jack?
I think Arsenal win the title. So on that basis, I'd rather win something than nothing.
All right. Arsenal are the favourites. They have been bet. They are just over evens. It's going to be a fascinating game. A little bit of a lean for overs for Nigel. Both teams. I like that one, actually, because Chelsea have scored in every single game at home, bar their 0-0 draw against Crystal Palace right at the start of the season. Let's get to Manchester City versus Leeds here. We have got some official plays for you coming your way and some interesting ones as well. And this is where that the boys come into their own in terms of how they bet themselves. City are minus 435 and have been bet against Leeds at plus 1100. This is Saturday, 10 a.m. Look, City shocked at Newcastle last time out, and then Nigel, Pep Guardiola, I mean, did he get it all wrong with all those changes? I mean, in terms of the result, he did, but he wanted to get minutes into the legs of players. There were so many rotated players against Leverkusen. I mean, are we just expecting all of the big hitters to come back and that'll be it? It'll be fine, and City will just steamroller Leeds, who are obviously in a little bit of a hole themselves. How do you see it?
Pretty much as you said there. I think all the big guns will come back and steamroll the Leeds. I mean, it was a brave decision, and we won't know whether it was right or wrong until the end of the season to see how they get on in the latter stages. But I think he looked at that match and thought, what I've got on my reserves is probably good enough to beat Leverkusen. It backfired on him. But they'll be up strong here. There was a spell last season when Manchester City had a couple of losses on the spin. But usually when they have back-to-back defeats, which they have back-to-back defeats against Newcastle and obviously by Leverkusen, they usually bounce back. Earlier on the season, they had back-to-back defeats and then they beat Manchester United 3-0. And I'm expecting a big bounce back here. Obviously, Erling Haaland is the man who will return. And if he returns to the starting lineup, you will see that price even contract more on Manchester City at minus 420. He's got a good record against Leeds. You know, it's the team where he was born, wasn't he? He was born in Leeds. He's played 2, won 2, scored 2 against Leeds in the Premier League. He scored 2 in one game and none in another. Obviously, he's going to be very popular, as he is every week, to score 2 or more. If you're betting Haaland to score 2 or more to score any time, you might as well bet Man City to score 2 or more, and that's where I'm going here. I think Man City will win this fairly comfortably. If you look at Leeds on the road, I was at the Arsenal game where they got battered 5-0. They got beat 2-0 by Burnley. They got beat 3-0. They got beat 3-1. I mean, 4 of they've played. They've only won 1 and lost 4, and all 4 of them, they haven't covered the 2-goal handicap. Whoever they played has won by 2 or more goals. So you would be winning on this bet every single match they've lost in the Premier League this season. They're -4 on the road. That is, they're -420 to lose this match, and Man City have got to bounce back. So this is my first official play, and this is what I will be betting. I'll definitely be betting this. I'll be taking Man City on the money line. -1.75 at -114. In the last 4 matches in the Premier League between these two, it's been 16 goals for Manchester City and 2 goals for Leeds. So that is how dominant they have been in this fixture. This is a very poor version of a Leeds side, managed under pressure, conceding goals, especially on the road, and I can't see them getting anything to worry about Man City here. Haaland will return, Foden will return, Docker will return, and they'll win this by more than 2 goals. So Man City -1.75, -114 is a 1U pick. Only 1U pick, not having a 2U pick this week, but this will be a bet that I'm having, and hopefully you'll join me and we'll cash in.
Jack, how are you seeing Leeds' trip to Manchester City? What's the betting angle for you here? Because you've got official plays as well.
Yeah, I'm going to have a unit on this one as well. Slightly different approach, but I liked all the angles. You can get City on side, half-time, full-time, the Asian handicap. The lines had moved a bit, so the money had come. So I've gone down a different route of Manchester City goals and spread a unit across 3 separate bets. I agree exactly how the game's going to pan out from what Nigel said. Agree that the big guns are going to come back. Yeah, 10 changes from Pep from that weekend side to the Leverkusen side. Expect it to be more like the side last week. They want to get the job done. They want to score plenty of goals. Of course, they've got a game on Tuesday against Fulham. So not the hardest game for them, but I think they want to put on a show here. Exceptional at home, of course. This will be a 6th straight home league win once they do that. And they've scored 3 or more in 4 of those games as well. And the one comparable I think we've got is that when they took on Burnley, they won that one 5-1. So expect a similar margin for me in this one. That is their 23rd win from 25 unbeaten games against newly promoted sides. And this Leeds side aren't in a great shape at this moment in time for certain. We mentioned Haaland, one extra incentive. We talked about him a lot, but we try and find a new angle where each time we mention him. He's 1 goal short of 100 Premier League goals so far. He will be the quickest to that landmark figure. This will be his 110th appearance. To put that into context, it took Alan Shearer 124, Harry Kane 141, Aguero 147, Henry 160 and Salah 162 for them to make that mark. Shows you the impact he's had on the Premier League. So a blank last weekend against Newcastle, but he still had the best non-penalty expected goals across the entire division. So chances against Leeds will come thick and fast. I expect him to score at least 2 or 3 here. My bet is over 2.5 Man City goals. I'm having half a unit on that at plus 100, and then a quarter of a unit on over 3.5 Man City goals at plus 255, and over 4.5 Man City goals at plus 575. And I'll break down exactly what that means for profit on the different goals right at the end. But just to say that, yeah, Leeds have lost 5 of the last 6. They've lost 5 of the last 6 on the road as well. And that's defeats to Fulham and Burnley, which is terrible form. That Wolves game is the only one that they've won. No clean sheet in those games either. They've shipped 15 goals in the process, conceded 3 in their last 2 Premier League games against Forest and Brighton. And the only elite side they've played so far, Arsenal, beat them comfortably 5-0, and it could have been a lot more. So that would cover that. So just to let you know, the stakes there, half a unit on the 3 or more goals. If they do score 3 goals exactly, then we effectively break even on the bet. 4 goals would mean that we make profit of 0.89 units, and if there's 5 or more goals, we make profit of 2.58 units. That's how I've broken down the bet for this game.
Lovely. A bit of a ladder from Jack on the Man City goals. Nigel siding with City again on the Asian line. We're all in with Pep Guardiola, so let's hope he picks the right team this time around, shall we? Daniel Farker, incidentally, around about minus 150 to be the next manager to go. He is the favourite. Second favourite on that list is Arne Slot. He's around about plus 550. At the start of the season, he was plus 8,000. He was the rank outsider, but boy, Nigel, is he under pressure here. Liverpool travel to West Ham for a Sunday game, 9:05 this one. West Ham are plus 350, Liverpool minus 141. The prices have been yo-yoing around all over the place since Liverpool's defeat at the hands of PSV at home in the Champions League. I mean, West Ham at one stage were over $4 to win the game. Liverpool were a lot shorter. It's going to be fascinating to see what the market does here, because you tend to think that people are going to look at it and think, I've got to get with West Ham somehow, but maybe the price is gone. And if they continue to be bet and Liverpool get towards even, suddenly there's going to be money for Liverpool. How do you see it?
I think it's going to be very difficult. I mean, everybody now at the moment in time wants to oppose Liverpool, don't they? I mean, but there's going to get to a price where I think that people might think the market's gone a bit too much. So I think if you're going to bet West Ham, you want to bet West Ham now. But I think by the kickoff time, Liverpool might become a little bit of value. That is why I was looking at West Ham on the Asian handicap at plus 0.75. But that reasoning and the fact that I think that, you know, if Liverpool got to a bettable price, I might change my thinking about this match at the moment in time. I think this is a match now, after what we saw last night, that incredible result against PSV, the market is going to be all in on West Ham. But when we have 48 hours to analyse it and think about the match and think about West Ham themselves, you know, this is a side that aren't exactly doing great stuff at the moment. I know they're on a good bit of run, but they're, you know, if you could get minus 110 on Liverpool or minus 120 on Liverpool, then you might think to yourself, that's got to be a bet. So that's why I probably won't be having any action on here. If I was looking at some action, I think both teams to score, yes. I mean, the way that Liverpool are conceding goals for fun at the moment is incredible. But that is minus 190. West Ham are unbeaten in 3 matches. The win against Newcastle was a huge win for them, 3-1. Liverpool, we just don't know. I mean, there's so many defending goals. The 2 centre-backs are all over the place. But for me, and since the start of the season, it's all been about Mo Salah. I mean, he's just completely and utterly gone. And there's some kind of issue there. And obviously, he was talking about leaving the club in the season. I don't think that's been done. We're talking about Jota. There's just so many problems at it. So this here, just so many difficult angles to get involved in here. 4 successive road losses for Liverpool, conceding the goals they have. I mean, and losing at home to Nottingham Forest. I mean, it is just incredible what's going on here. But we did see that at Manchester City last season. Then they bounced back. Then they had the run at the end. I'm not quite sure we're going to see that from Liverpool. So where do we go? I mean, I was looking at a prop here. We're looking at Callum Wilson. I was looking at Callum Wilson to score at any time. I mean, that's a big price. I think he was plus 270 to score at any time. You know, he's only had 4 starts for West Ham and he scored 4 goals. He scored 3 in his last 2. You know, whoever centre forward you can get against this Liverpool team at the moment, you've got to fancy them to score whoever they face. And Callum Wilson is a player in form, got confidence again. West Ham fans will be up for this, thinking they can beat Liverpool, add to the worries. And if they do win this match, I think it's got to be the end for Slot here. But difficult one on the money line. I do expect goals. Both teams to score, yes, will probably be in a parlay. If you're looking at a parlay, no single for me at minus 190. But maybe a little bit of interest. Pizza money on Callum Wilson to score any time at plus 270. But from the money line, I think it's the most intriguing bet of the weekend. I just wouldn't know where the market's going to go here. I can imagine Liverpool will drift by the time this show goes live. But on Saturday, I think that if it got too big, I think everyone would bet Liverpool.
Yeah, I mean, this is it. As Will White says, bet early or bet late. If you're on plus $4 or bigger at West Ham, well done. But chances are they might go back to that sort of price just ahead of kickoff when the money comes for Liverpool. I mean, here's the facts, Jack. As Rafa once said, 9 defeats in 12 games, the worst run for Liverpool in 71 years. And they added £450 million worth of talent ahead of this season. Yeah. What's the angle in for you if you've got one?
Yeah, well, the same thing, really. My earmark bet was West Ham +1. It was minus 127 at one point in time when I was finalising my figures last night. That was minus 157. I was just watching that prize go, so that put a line put through it. I landed on over 3 Asian in the end because I do fancy goals in it because both sides are really poor defensively. That was minus 112 just as a lean. And as Nigel said there, Van Dijk is in terrible form, making mistakes. He's obviously come out and been quite vocal about certain criticisms, but then has not backed it up on the pitch with his recent performances. Konate looks a liability next to him. And both wide areas are problematic for Liverpool. They've got issues at right back because of injuries, and they're trying to put a square peg in a round hole. And Kirkes just continues to really disappoint out on that left-hand side. So I think alongside Wilson, who will be a big problem for those central defenders. But you look at the wide areas for West Ham as well. Jared Bowen out on that right-hand side and Crescencio Somerville on the left-hand side could well have a field day. So I think absolutely there's goals in it. When you look at what Nuno's done, he's really improved West Ham as far as their results and their performances are concerned. But it's been mainly about them scoring goals rather than keeping a clean sheet. 7 games he's been in charge for them, yet to keep a clean sheet, which is what we normally associate with Nuno. But they've scored 8 goals in the last 3 games. So he's maybe looked at it and gone, do you know what? I'm not sure I can work with this defence at the moment. Let's look to accentuate the attack and make that the best form of defence. So I think with how the sides are playing at the moment, goals for me, Asian 3 was my lean at minus 112.
Let's move on to Crystal Palace versus Manchester United. This is Sunday, 7 a.m. Eastern for bettors. Do you want to bet United again? Do you want to have 150 units on it again, fellas? Or should we just move on?
I mean, that match the other day against Everton, I still haven't gone over it, really. I mean, it hurt me badly. I mean, I don't usually worry about football matches, but that performance just really frustrated me. It really did. I mean, and Man United fans think they're back. You know, we moved them on the ratings. We moved them up to levels of sort of like the same as Napoli. You know, they got up to sort of the 10th best team in Europe. And all of a sudden, they let you down again. They got to minus $3 in that match when the player got sent off, and they just couldn't do nothing. They offered nothing, absolutely nothing. This is an interesting one for me because I mentioned last week about Crystal Palace thinking that I want to fade Crystal Palace because of the amount of games they play. They play again on Thursday against Strasbourg. They were really poor, Forest, though, against Wolves. Palace against Wolves in the first half, really poor. And then they managed to get the job done in the second half. But their first half performance was shocking. I do think they're going to hit the wall, as I said, but I just can't ever bet Man United again at the moment. At this moment in time, they are on the naughty step for Christmas, Amarin and Man United. I'm not getting involved with Manchester United. The problem is that obviously where they're going to score, where Man United are going to score goals from. I mean, Palace are so good defensively. Historically, in the last sort of recent Premier League matches, Crystal Palace have always won or drawn this match. Man United got a terrible recent record in the last 4 or 5 years, and they hardly score. This is the best Crystal Palace defence we've seen for a long, long time. If it was any other week, say this was like 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, I'd be betting Palace at plus 130 on the money line. But I just do worry that they're going to play a lot of matches, and they're coming, got midweek game again, Europa League game, internationals, and I just got a feeling they will hit the buffers. Wouldn't put anybody off betting Manchester United for me. Crystal Palace for me. But I think this is going to be low scoring, and if anyone's going to nick it one, it will be Palace. But on the money line, slight lean towards Palace at plus 130 because Man United are awful.
Everton battened down the hatches, got that 1-0 win. Obviously, United were all over them, but couldn't break them down. That's the way that Palace play. They play on the counter-attack. United can't break down those low blocks, Jack. I mean, I like Palace here at plus 130-ish. Don't look a gift horse in the mouth, but I am banning everyone from betting United, so I don't know if you've got a different angle on it.
Yeah, we had many a counselling session during the course of the week after that that performance. It was absolutely abysmal, wasn't it? And
we've changed our tactics. Amarin won't change his. On the back of that match. That's the fact.
It's ridiculous. Obviously, the team news on Cunha, I think, will be big because it will give Man United. They seem to massively miss him on Monday. Whether he's going to be fit or not, it was just a knock, wasn't it? But how bad that was, we'll wait and see. So that's something to play. I think there's too many. It was close. I'd want to play Palace here. It would certainly be my lean at plus 133. I think they're a big price. I think there's value in it. But Strasbourg, after we record this, away in the Conference League, is obviously tough. We don't know the outcome of that or if there's any key injuries, etc., etc. And the team news as well was vital for Manchester United. But so I think Palace are certainly back at this moment in time after those back-to-back defeats, unbeaten in 5, winning 4 of them and 4 clean sheets in that process as well, which we know is what they're built there. real good form on, and they are the absolute worst side for Man United to face. A physical side, an athletic side, an aggressive side, a counter-attacking side with a low block and a strong defence. And they say they have had the number of Man United over the last 2 seasons as well. So I would certainly have a strong lean, and I might well play it officially if they come through the game against Strasbourg and then the team news supports it for Manchester United. But wait and see.
The market was a huge drift on Manchester United without Cunha.
Because of Cunha. Cunha was when they went,
and it was a big drift. They went from minus 141 to minus 110. So if Cunha doesn't play, then Palace could probably be around about plus 110 for this match.
The interesting thing about that, obviously, the price started to drift and no one knew why. And then apparently Cunha didn't turn up to turn on the Christmas lights in Altrincham or something like that. And it's like, well, where is he? He said, well, he's not available. And suddenly if you were
Cunha turned on the Christmas lights,
something like that, yeah.
Really,
I can't remember the exact story. You'd have to Google it, but it was something like that. And suddenly that everyone was looking to lay United at that stage.
Are you doing Bromley this year, Nigel?
It was I'm turning on the Christmas lights at Bromley. I'm going to see Simon Olden turn the Christmas light in Scarborough. I'm looking forward to that one.
They asked me in Algebra last week, but I turned it down.
The light,
anyway.
the Christmas light.
It's the candle. We ain't got electric in Albury yet.
We need some very quick thoughts on Sunderland. Bournemouth has been shunted down the running order by these two. Bournemouth at plus 138. I mean, Sunderland, Nigel, if we're saying they're homers, if we're saying they win at home, plus 210 is a bet, yes or no? Give us.
Yeah, I do. I think there'd be my lean. Sunderland's no wins in 3 though for them, which is a little bit of a concern. Still unbeaten at home, which is in the Premier League. This is brilliant. 7 matches. Bournemouth no wins in 3. Semenyo is obviously the key thing here. If he plays or if he doesn't play, if he doesn't, they're obviously not the same team without him, which is obviously such a huge player for them. Just 2 wins in 8 now for Bournemouth, which after their bright start, 1 win in 6 road matches, which is a concern, and conceded 2 or more in 5 road matches as well. Sunderland for me, draw no bet, plus 108.
Jack?
Yeah, both sides out of form, so a tough one to call. Who's going to edge it? I'm not quite so certain. Semenyo, the key news if he's fit and available. I say Sunderland strong at home, and Bournemouth have been pretty poor on the road, so definitely was tempted with that plus handicap on Sunderland. I also looked at the fact that both teams to score yes in this one. It's minus 129. Landed in 4 of 6 for both in their respective home and away games. So a 67% strike rate, which would suggest to me that we might have a little play on that one. But again, Semenyo the key. There's questions that need to be answered before I'd look to have a play in this one.
That is 10 a.m. on Saturday and 9:05 on Sunday is Villa Wolves. We have got official plays in this one. Villa minus 215 here, Wolves plus 575. Jack, you're first up and you're putting a unit into the table for this one.
Yeah, 1 unit on Aston Villa minus 1 Asian handicap for me. Breaking the kind of unwritten rule as far as that they obviously play in Europe after we've recorded this as well. But I don't think there's anyone specifically key for Villa. It's not like they're relying on Watkins for his goals, and if he gets injured tonight, then they're struggling. They're kind of contributing from all over the pitch, Villa. And the form they're in at the moment is exceptional. And to back that up is their form after a European night is flawless as well. They've won every single game after their European games this season, and they've all been at home as well, which is quite interesting. This is now going to be their 5th successive home game after a European night this season, and so they've won them all. So I'm going down that route as well. And first game for Rob Edwards last week for Wolves. I don't think there was much difference from what we've been seeing from Wolves so far this season, which obviously is terrible. 2 points from their opening fixtures. They will have a go, which is probably to their detriment, really, because they'll leave themselves open. And this Villa side have got so much talent in those forward areas, and so having Tielemans back in the side, pulling the strings, plus all the talent they've got in those forward areas that can be rotated if they're not working off the bench, there's strength as well. I just think they've got far too much for this Wolves side, who just look an absolute, banker to go down. They've looked as bad as some of these newly promoted sides have looked over the last couple of seasons, if not worse. And they're up against the Villa side that are just exceptional at home. They've won 9 of the last 11 in the league at home, including the last 4 as well, with a 4-0 defeat at Bournemouth last time out. And I say they are just so strong. 6 wins from 7 in the league across all venues as well. Up to 4th in the table. They've kind of sneaked up to 4th a little bit unnoticed. Only 2 points off Chelsea, and obviously Chelsea Arsenal this weekend, so they have a chance to close that gap up there as well. And I say Wolves just look an absolute shamble. Lost their last 6 in all competitions, shipped 17 goals as well, and that's the key thing for me. I just don't think if this becomes an open affair, then Villa just got the firepower to blow Wolves out of the water. And away from home, they lost 5 of their 6 games, and they failed to score in all of those defeats as well. And the last 3, they've lost by at least 2 goals. So it can only be one thing for me, Villa -1 Asian handicap.
It's a minus money play for Jack. It's an official 1U, but Nigel has squeezed a little bit more out of the fixture for a 1U play that's plus money, Nigel.
Yeah, the idea of these change of format is that we don't get a situation where we put all our units onto one specific match, and we've done our first change and we're going all in on 2 matches with the same kind of theory. I mean, but that's the trouble when you have only 10 matches in the Premier League. You are going to get times where you pretty much agree on all the stuff. My bet here is Villa to win to 0. Plus 138, I believe it is. I think that's a big price. I mean, Villa are minus 215 on the money line. No one's, all the reasons why Jack said they're exceptionally strong at home, but I think their defence is pretty much underrated. Martinez is probably one of the best goalkeepers in the Premier League. Well, he is one of the best goalkeepers in the Premier League. Konsa's been exceptional. Cash has been brilliant. Tillemans comes back, makes it more strength as well in there. I just think that's the bet. Wolves have only scored 1 road goal in 6 matches in the Premier League, and 5 of the losses, all of them, they've lost to 0. They're up against an informed Villa side who just keep winning at home and keep winning without conceding. The last 3 Villa home wins were wins to 0. I don't think it's too much to worry about the Europa League, a home match against young boys. They haven't got to travel anywhere. And as Jack said, a fantastic record after Europe. So Villa, to me, will win this match, and they'll win it to 0 against the poorest team in the Premier League, who already, before Christmas, Rob Edwards must be looking ahead to players for the Championship next season. And Villa will compound that with a win here in a local derby to 0, plus 138. I think it's a big price, that.
4 more games to take a look at. We'll get some opinion from the boys on all of them. Everton, Newcastle, first up, 12:30 Saturday, this one. This is another sort of home versus away conundrum for bettors, Nigel. Everton only 1 loss in 7 in all competitions at home. And Newcastle struggle away, as we saw in Marseille off the back of that really good win over City. It's a difficult one for me. And Newcastle are favourites here, plus 145. Are they a value player? Everton value plus 190 for me. This is leave alone.
Been bet all morning, Newcastle here. I don't understand it. Newcastle were betting midweek against Marseille. There was a big market move on them. Everton are always not really friendly in the betting, although they were bet against Manchester United the other night. But Newcastle, always big bet and always seem to let you down. They were very heavily bet at home to Barcelona, biggest move of the season. They were very heavily bet in midweek at Marseille, lost, and they're starting to be in bet here. I think the Asian syndicates absolutely love Newcastle for some reason, but they're a different animal on the road compared to at home. He's got to start getting some results here, Eddie Howe. I mean, 8 road matches, 1 win isn't good enough. It's not good enough. I do fancy a few goals, though. I think there could be some goals in this match. Everton, obviously, showed absolutely grit and determination to get that 1-0 defeat. But Grealish at home here, he'll relish this. I think Newcastle will go here and try to get a win. Interesting one for me, Gordon going back to his former club. Obviously, he's never played at this stadium, but Everton is his former club. He's plus 240 to score any time. And I think that this one here has got a few goals. But both teams to score, yes, was on my radar. It is short, but I might put it in their parlay. But on the money line, no interest really.
Jack, brief thoughts on this one for you?
Yeah, really tough. Everton are tough to beat. They've got a solid record in their new stadium. They look to try and build on that, and against a side that one of the worst on the road, aren't they? And I think you wait for Newcastle to turn the corner because you think they've got too many good players, and they're so good at home. They've got to get some wins finally on the road, but I'm not sure it's going to be here. I was looking at maybe Everton tying no bet, but I couldn't really pull the trigger on that on the basis that the firepower does worry me a little bit. They work hard up front. They desperately need a striker in January. They've got the players behind them that can cause problems. Have they got the players to finish those chances? Obviously, Dewsbury Hall scored from outside the area. They only shot on target against Man United. Hard one to read because of the situation of the game. But yeah, for me, I think I'm waiting for Newcastle to get a result, and I'm therefore kind of opting out of this game. But if pushed, it would be tie no bet, probably Everton.
Are we getting suckered into playing Spurs at just over even money, Nigel, given the fact that they put 3 past PSG? This is Saturday night local, 3 p.m. Eastern. What do you think? Plus 112.
Just one thing I should have said, actually, at the top of the show. This is actually one of the worst weeks of
Terrible,
the season
isn't it?
for fading the favourites. I mean, who have been involved in Champions League action. I did that research on the dojo the other week. It's the week you have the international, you have the league fixture. Then you have a European fixture, and the fourth fixture and the sandwich fixtures is always the ones that the percentage rate for teams that are involved in Champions League fixtures are always quite low. And this looks like a potential banana skin. Obviously, Newcastle there as well, and this one here. The market absolutely hates Tottenham. Whatever happens, they just fade them all the time. I think it's to do with the manager. I thought Thomas Frank would be a bit of an upgrade for Mange Postecoglou. I don't know if he is. I think he looks a little bit of it looks like a too big a job for him at this moment in time. He had absolutely no idea what to do in the North London derby. He had no idea what to do against Chelsea when they're at home, and they've just put in one of the worst performances you've seen. Defensively all over the place in midweek. 1 win in 6, 4 defeats, conceded 11 goals in the last 3 matches. Fulham, no good away. No away wins in 7 this season, but they have scored in 5. I think that Fulham here could pull off a shock against Tottenham. Tottenham's home record is awful. They haven't won at home in the Premier League since August when they beat Burnley. And that is incredible for a club like Tottenham. It's the kind of stadium that teams go there and try to play because it's such a nice stadium. They raise the occasion. The crowd are on the back at the moment at Tottenham. The people aren't, the fans aren't happy. But I do think Fulham score. Both teams to score, yes, is minus 155. I would be looking at Fulham plus a half on the Asian handicap, but that is minus money. But the market doesn't like Tottenham. The market, every week they drift, and I expect them to drift again here on the back of a Champions League trip to Paris. This match here, London derby, not all well at the Tottenham Stadium, but I don't think Fulham are a team that can capitalise on that. Wouldn't be surprised to see this be a draw. Both teams to score, yes, minus 155.
I mean, the thing with Thomas Frank, when he started at Brentford, they had a shocking start, didn't they? Did they not win their first 8 or 10 or 11 or something like that? Whether Spurs are going to give him time. I tend to agree with Nigel. I think the job might be a bit too big for him. Very briefly on this one, Jack.
Yeah, similar thought process. I'd like to fade Spurs here, especially after that midweek and last weekend, but I can't put my faith in Fulham. I say Spurs are actually in a worse position at this point of the season than they were last season. Obviously, it went even worse from there on in. So pressure is on Thomas Frank. A defeat here would be a massive problem. I just lent really in the end on over 2.5 goals with this one. I think there will be goals in it eventually. Spurs 5 of the last 6 in the league, cash for over 2.5 goals, and Fulham's 3 of the last 4 on the road have as well. So I think there'll be goals in it. As to who comes out on top, could be anyone's.
And do you think, Jack, maybe goals in the Forest Brighton game as well? This is another Sunday game, 9:05. I mean, overs here is minus 125. It has been bet a little bit.
Yeah, I do. I do fancy goals in this one. I guess this is another one where Forest are playing after we recorded this on Thursday. So we're kind of flying a little bit on what's happening there. Brighton have got a clear week, so it gives them the advantage on that one. And they're up to 6 in the table, which is good for our bet. Obviously, you're on that as well to finish in the top 6. But and Sean Dyche, good immediate job at Forest, got them out of the relegation zone. And we normally focus on his defensive processes, don't we? And say that he's going to keep sides tight, they're going to keep clean sheets and so on. And he has done improvements in that area. But the main area that he's done has just made them look more dangerous going forward. They're back to how they were last season, going a bit more direct, being good in transition, counter-attacking, got that focal point up front. So with Brighton coming, I think that lends itself perfectly to Forest's strengths, and Brighton will have a go as they normally do. So he's only been in charge 4 league games. The last 3 have all cashed over 2.5 goals. And did all the work themselves against Liverpool last week, obviously, for that to land as well. 4 goals in home games against Manchester United and Leeds. We could see a similar thing here. Brighton, 8 of their last 10 in the league across all venues, have seen over 2.5 goals cash. So that's where I'm going with this one.
Malmo tonight, obviously, Nigel, for Forest, and members in that European Cup final. Trevor Francis diving on the hammer circle on the pink rim, all that?
Yeah, I do. Very, I can remember all that. I can't remember last week. That's what age does to you. I think this is the toughest match on the card. Really do. I think this is a really difficult match. I think Brighton always struggle when teams give them the ball and they have to break them down. I think, as you said, your statistic when They don't have the most possession. There's when you want to bet them, they're going to have the most possession this match. I think Forest will be set up to the low block and try to counter attack. I just think that it's going to be hard for Brighton to break them down. 6 matches in charge, Sean Dyche, only 1 loss. Big match tonight, which takes a little bit of the edge away from him, because I think that doesn't look on paper a big match, but obviously the history and they're playing in the replica kit. And it's going to be a big night at the City grounds. Great win against Liverpool last week. Brighton quite lucky against Brentford. Obviously, Brentford missed a late penalty in that match. Tough match. No bet for me. It's the first time I've said no bet in literally 4 seasons. So I'm delighted to say no bet. No bet. No bet. I'm going to say it again. No bet.
We wrap things up with thoughts on Brentford against Burnley Saturday 10 a.m. Brentford are -235. Burnley +600. Burnley maybe going to play with a bit more ambitions. They've had some tough games recently, but we know, Jack, that Brentford are good at home. They've lost only once in 7, I think, this season, and they've beaten Liverpool and Newcastle last couple. Whether that form against Liverpool is diluted a little bit, it might be. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I'm going with goals in this one as well as a lean. Over 2.5 goals, -122. Brentford have done their best work at home by a country mile. And this is a massive game for them because they've got that buffer to the relegation zone of 5 points. They've got 6 points to Burnley. So if they can put 9 points between them and Burnley, that one is pretty much done and dusted. You can't see Burnley closing that gap. And so they've got decent forward processes as well. When you look at the lad they got up front in Thiago, who's done very well when he came in, missed that penalty of course last week, but he'd be someone I'd be looking at as far as maybe as in your player props, because everything kind of funnels through him. And Burnley are very poor defensively. They're not good in the air, poor at set pieces, so he should have a feel that. I'd imagine he'll still be on penalties as well, because he scored one and missed one, didn't he, in that game against Brighton. And say, I think Burnley are weird in that they seem to be opening up and having a go when they're on the road. At home, they seem to be go into the shell and play a lot more defensively. And you look at the goals, Brentford, 8 of their 12 games this season have gone over 2.5 goals, 4 of their 6 at home. And for Burnley, all 6 on the road have gone over 2.5 goals, and they're averaging 4.5 goals per game. So it looks like one that Burnley are going to have a go at, and I think there will be goals in it. So yeah, over 2.5 goals for me is the lean.
Yeah, look, Brentford at home last season, that season before, overs at home, it was just a standing dish. If you just bet all the games, you were making money. Nigel, final word on the weekend slate from yourself when it comes to Brentford, Burnley. What are we thinking here? We're weighing with goals. We got over 2.5, over 3.5, getting the ladder out. What do you think?
No, I don't do DIY. I don't get ladders. I've never been on a ladder in my life. I've never gone on a ladder, no. -122, over 2.5 goals. That is the bet. I like that bet. I think that one thing I did look at it, I thought -235 Brentford by first class. I thought that's very, very short. I couldn't be betting Brentford at -235, but they are very good at home. They seem to be a team, I think, that raise their games against the bigger sides at home. Maybe fair to say the win against Liverpool, the win against Newcastle. Burnley here, different animal on the roads. They like to go take teams at it, open up. Loads of goals. They've conceded at least 2 goals in every single one of their road matches. All their road matches are cashed over 2.5 goals. No view on the actual money line, but I think Brentford look a little bit bigger, sort of a little bit short of -235, which led me to look at Brighton +1 or +1.25, maybe something like that. But I do think the goals angle's the best way here, -122, over 2.5.
Yeah, I think there's going to be goals in this one for sure. You just look at the teams that they've played already. Brentford at home, Villa twice, Chelsea, United, City, Liverpool and Newcastle. I think they could blow Burnley away. We shall see. Nigel, Jack, thanks for your company. Brave new world with our staking plan. Hopefully you're going to join us. Look, it's your platform as well. Get your comments in the YouTube section. Tell us what you're betting. Tell us if you're going to be joining us with the official plays on the games featuring Manchester City and Aston Villa from Jack and Nigel. Let us know what you're doing over the course of this weekend. That is a wrap for Betting Weekly Premier League show, Match Day 13. We are, of course, live every midweek day with Betting Weekly live with lots of soccer chat. We've got lots of content coming your way as per usual. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us at Because We Win. We'll be back on Monday. We've got a midweek card to look forward to. Hopefully the boys will have some different games to preview rather than the same. But we'll have some official plays as per usual. From all of us for now, though, it is goodbye.